For me, it's funny how the things that hurt or the things that sting are self-inflicted. You are the one that can choose, or you are the one that decides just how far you will go into that thought, that train of thought. You decide which stop you will get off at. And you decide what you will do when you get off of that stop. You decide where you're gonna stop. And that stop doesn't always necessarily leave you in a sound place. Perhaps you got off at the wrong stop. People know that though. But people don't really trust their gut, their intuition, because there's a silent war with the self, a silent mistrust in oneself. It's silent, yet it roars. You know the sound of a cub's roar? I would say it's like that, but it's not necessarily like that. I'm not sure. But then again, I am. People aren't necessarily sure of why certain things come back, certain thoughts come back, certain feelings come back. The reality is that they never left. It doesn't matter if those that you held, those thoughts or those feelings have already left or are already gone. It doesn't matter. These things exist. Love still exists after it's severed. Severed between a person and another. It never really is destroyed. You could do so much to a person and then you could punish yourself for that with what you've done. Perhaps the person that loved you in that way, let's just put it in our head that they would never do that. And then let's think about ourselves and think about the fact that we very well should be a person, we should be on a list. We should be on the list of those that love us. And when you think about it like that, and sometimes you have to look outside of yourself to really say it and put it into perspective, but would you want to continuously relive a situation and self-harm, and not necessarily in a physical way, but in a mental way, in a spiritual way? Will you want to hold on to a tie that leaves you lifeless? So it's a Very valid question to me. Future you, the you that has a life not like the life that you still grieve, would hopefully think to themselves, and not even just thinking. The thought has to be engraved. The thought has to be engraved in your core. You have to truly believe that you can stop repenting, essentially. You can actually forgive yourself for the things that you did. Or didn't do. Maybe you're a person that extends grace to others where you see it fits. You can't forget yourself in that. You have to live with you. And understand that people are not permanent. Not per se. I say that and it rings true because your life is undefined. You don't know when you shall pass unless you do, and perhaps knowing that you shall pass helps you live more, or places thoughts in your mind that you suffer from. But perhaps you just don't know, right? Perhaps you are within the group of those that life is undefined for, and death is too. You don't know when you will pass. I'd imagine that one would want to forgive themselves in their passing. And hopefully it's way before their passing that they forgive themselves. At a certain point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're forgiven by the person that you want to be forgiven by. And the reality is that oftentimes you won't know. And the reality is the central point of it all is to not be forgiven. It's an element of wanting to be understood and wanting to express that you realize who you were, and you realize that person had a lot that they needed to do to become a better version of themselves. And in doing so, and in needing to do that, they did what they did. Only you know, all of you, really. As far as people that are on this earth, as far as yourself as one of the relationships that you hold, you know the most about you. But then again, you learn from those that you experience. You learn from those that experience you, and you learn from experiencing others. That's nice. Nice to know. It's common knowledge, surely. When you reflect a bit, though, even common knowledge can become more gritty, more complex. Suddenly there's more things to learn. And suddenly you're back in a place that's familiar. Whether that be mentally or physically. These things open up that avenue to certain parts of you, and avenues that you must go down. Sometimes you must relive something to take in everything, take it in and understand it and recognize it for what it was and what it wasn't. Sometimes you're influenced, and sometimes you're under the influence. But without actual intoxicants, without normalized intoxicants, without the drugs, without the alcohol, the suppressants, the depressants, the stimulants. Anything can be a drug, really. And everybody has addictions. And it's not until you have to drive down that avenue within you again that you see that again. It's one thing to see it, another thing to know it. It's one thing to know it and not have anything to represent that with which you know. The combo of sight and knowledge, of vision and knowledge is a very significant combo. I value my senses. I value my sight. I value my thought. In doing so, I know that there's so many different ways to be. Period. Because there's more that I could add on to that, but that me is more of a fix me. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect by any means. However, I no longer think something is inherently wrong with me. I just know I have my own scores to settle with the self and with my relationship to my external life, my connections, my relationships. I'd rather know that and believe that nothing is inherently wrong with me. So, those are the thoughts that cross my mind at whatever the time is right now. Oh, it's 5:05 a.m. That's all I have to say or share at this moment.